Welcome back to the Zero Waste section of my YouTube channel. In this episode, I'm going to recommend a budgeting app to help you track your finances as easily as possible. By the way, if you find this video interesting, then please sub, like, or share this video. Alternatively, just tell one of your friends about it. Thank you, and on with the episode. So about 5 years ago, back in February 2020, I introduced some of you to a really simple budgeting app. Today, I'm highlighting a second app to help you with tracking your finances. And just as a bit of a primer for new listeners, the purpose of this zero waste sort of section on my YouTube channel is to get others to save their money as easily as possible. And I do think it's something that we should all be doing during these times. It would naturally seem to me that it's something that everybody should do, especially if they're out of work or they're receiving some kind of assistance. At least we've got to try and make a collective effort to make our own money stretch that little bit further. Part of saving money, however, means developing at a fundamental level some really boring but great habits. And you've really got to take the time to record how you're saving and spending. I know some people will groan at the boring part, but as Jocko Willink does say, discipline equals freedom. Basically, invest a few minutes up front so that there's a greater payoff later. So to help you with that, along with the rest of the other content on the channel or on the podcast, I want to regularly introduce various types of budgeting apps. This one is called Spendy, and at the time of making this video, it's still on sale. So if you want to get it cheap, well, you still have a chance. Now, during this video review, I'm going to compare Spendy to Deep Pockets, which was the previous app that I recommended, but there's no video for that. So you're just gonna have to listen to it if you download the podcast. And one of the comparisons between Spendy and Deep Pockets is that Spendy feels a lot flatter in design. You're not going so far forward and then so far backwards as you dip in and dip out of the menu structure. But both apps are minimalist in their design, but it's nice to see that they've taken on different interpretations of what to do inside that style. And importantly, both apps don't burden you with a rich feature set, because why would you want that anyway on a mobile app? You just want to get in and get out. And so that's the point of sharing these, so that it becomes less of a chore for you and you might be more inclined to want to track your finances for that climatic payoff. Financial climatic payoff. So obviously these aren't meant to replace Quicken on your desktop PC anytime soon. Spendy's defining feature for me was when I broke my phone. I lost all my information on Deep Pockets, but luckily I was using Spendy at the same time. But Spendy has an iCloud restore feature, so everything's going to be saved. So when I broke this, that I keep flashing in front of the screen for you, I just reinstalled it on my backup phone and everything was fine, and I could just continue with tracking my finances. But luckily, a lot of things that I'm tracking for the podcast and for this video series was actually saved anyway in a notes app on iCloud, so it's not a total loss. But to really understand how understated the app is, because it truly gets out of your way, when I was making this video and the podcast episode, it was only then that I realized there aren't really any settings with which to dig into. It's actually just small customizations to set up your preferences inside the app. And those are there just to customize the app to get you to insert your expenditures as quickly and effortlessly as possible. Now, when you download it, sure, it says settings, but honestly, it's just notifications and currency to set up. That's it. Oh, and language. The front of the app, when you tap it, shows your transactions for the day and the add transaction function. Adding a transaction lets you work through the same calculator-like interface for income and spending. What I like here is the custom categories and how you can bring them closer in from the right off the screen, because you'd use them more often than others. For example, my wages is a one-time a month thing. So you can see here, salary. So why would I need it to be the first option? Whereas selling yogurt happens many times a month and I want it leftmost as possible instead of just swiping to the left to reveal it. If your habits change, it's a quick tap and a swipe to reorder everything. So you can just go to edit here and then you can just bring them around like that. There are really only three main screens: the front where you enter the app, the screen where you log everything, and then the stats screen, which as of version 1.03 I feel is still underdeveloped and missing some basic features. For instance, and this is the only knock against Spendy, but there's no way to glance at monthly information or the monthly totals in isolation of everything else. I assumed this was the most common way to track the incomings and outgoings, and it would be there. So while you can get breakdowns of the categories per month, you can't get a simple summary overall of a month. So for example, I want to go to yogurt, and it tells me in Hong Kong dollars the transactions, but I can't directly compare it against milk, or basically just see it for the month, which is the relevant bit at the top. It gives me the total for as long as I've used the app, which is kind of annoying. See, there's no month breakdown. As I said, the main summary is a running total over the course of the lifetime use of the app. Now, that's many months combined. I don't approach my finances in that manner. I want to see what I've done for October, then for November. But here, it just lumps it all together into one big group. Happily, the developer is responsive on Twitter, and he said he's working on improving the stats screen. Now, I get the impression the stats are presented in a way that suit his way of thinking first. I'll have to wait and see if this changes, and considering the iCloud backup feature came in handy for me, I'll wait it out for a bit. There isn't much else to say, which is a good thing really. It shows the simplicity on offer just to track your spending. It doesn't offer any warnings if you went over budget like deep pockets, but if you're disciplined enough, you don't need the warnings. Hopefully this little review has made you curious and you are willing to download the app if you need such a thing. If you enjoyed this video, then please like, sub or share. It's a great way to let the zero waste mindset grow. And if you want to check out any of my other stuff, then please go to JonathanJK.com.